Hi everyone, and welcome to the third lesson of Health and Wellness for Older Adults course. So today we're going to look at changes in the body with age. All right, so we're going to check out some different organ systems, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. So studying the physiological process of aging, which changes are due to age and which changes are actually due to other factors? So that is the question, isn't it? Let's move forward. All right, so when we define age changes, we as healthcare professionals, we do need to be careful not to create generalizations for different groups. Okay, so age changes that, or however we're defining the age changes, they have to be universal. Okay, across the board, the same applies to everybody. Okay, these changes need to be centralized. Okay, they need to be progressive. Okay, so we need to find changes, and then we need to find ways, to help those changes and whatnot. And then these changes have to be considered permanent. Okay, that can't be something that will just happen to a person and then they're gonna get better. Okay, that wouldn't really count as aging. These changes have to be something that happens and you don't go back, or at least we don't believe yet that you can reverse it. Okay, they need to be more deadly. That sounds harsh, but think about it like this: we are aging from birth. We are always progressing towards death, really, towards our physical death, not necessarily death, I guess. Well, depending on whatever you believe. So, moving forward, first let's look at the integumentary system. What's the integumentary system? It's our skin. Okay, so the skin and its accessory organs have a lot of different functions. Okay, so first of all, one of the main functions, the main reason why we have skin is to protect our tissues on the inside. Okay, we're like a big sack of stuff. So and our skin is there for protection, right? To protect everything and keep everything in its form, right? So anyways, skin and its accessory organs is also going to regulate our body temperature. It eliminates salt and other waste products, usually through our sweat and whatnot. It synthesizes vitamin D, and that's super important. We need that, right, for our bones and whatnot. And it is a sensory receptor. So it responds to changes in our environment, such as heat, cold, light, dark, touch, pain, things like that. Okay, so age-associated changes in our integumentary system. So most of our changes, actually, most of the damage that happens to our skin is going to be due to sun exposure. Okay, remember in our previous lesson that we learned that UV radiation damages us and causes us to age, right? Well, that UV radiation hits our skin. Okay, so most of the changes that are associated with our integumentary system is going to happen through sun exposure. Okay, also, as we talked about before, cigarette smoking is going to have a lot of damage on our skin. Remember how we talked about how it blocks the oxygen and the nutrition that your skin needs. Okay, so it narrows down your blood vessels and doesn't allow a lot of that nutrition and oxygen to even come up and get to your skin. Okay, so that's how you see a lot of wrinkles, a lot of aging spots and things like that happen to people who are smokers. But they're not really, old yet. Okay. Also, facial expressions can create laugh lines, like right here, and that stuff. The skin does become more fragile, thinner, easier to tear, less elastic as we get older. Okay, and then we have less blood circulating through our skin, and when that happens, it makes older people, older adults, start to feel more cold. Then if a lot of blood isn't getting to the surfaces, they're going to bruise a lot easier as well. Okay, so sun exposure, the worst. Sun's changes on our skin is called photoaging. Okay, so UVA and UVB radiation, that's what's emitted, and that is what's hitting our skin, and that's what's damaging us, or our skin, our integumentary system. So it's best that we stay out of the sun, or we use protective clothing like hats and long sleeves. Sunscreen does help. Okay, like half hour before exposure, you want to get that SPF that's at least 30 or higher all in there and soaked in to help protect against sun exposure. Of course, nothing really beats a hat or, like a nice cardigan. Okay, but all that. Sunscreen might not really protect against melanomas. Okay, so the best thing you can do is have, like solid protection. Okay. The musculoskeletal system. Okay, so these are our bones. Okay, bones and muscles, right? So our bones are what stores a lot of the calcium for the bodies, right? Our bone marrow is going to produce our white and red blood cells. That's part of our immune system. Okay, that's what gets out there on the front lines and fights coronavirus and things like that. So you want to have those strong bones with all of the stuff that it needs to create those red and white blood cells. So the strength of the bones depends on health, your overall health, genetics, and your physical activity. So smooth muscles help stretch the stomach. Also, they're in the cardiac muscles. The cardiac muscles are in the heart as well. Okay, so age-associated changes in the musculoskeletal system. Joints are going to become way less flexible with age. Okay, they just get worn out. Usually when you go to a doctor and say your knee hurts when you get up and down and things like that, for the most part they're going to say, well, your joints are becoming less flexible, your joints are becoming worn out. There really isn't much of a cure for that. It's just that's your knee now. Okay, so anyway, and then reduction in bone strength and mass makes bones more susceptible to fractures and things like that. So if you do, that's why it's so important to take care of our bones, right? We don't want our bones to be susceptible to any kind of fractures or anything like that. If we fall, we don't want to break anything. You want to just be able to absorb it and move on, right? Women tend to lose more bone mass and actually need to build sufficient amount before maturity. Okay, so you can actually increase more bone mass with exercise by consuming more calcium, vitamin D, and you can take more medications. There are plenty of medications out there on the market. We see commercials for this all the time, so I'm sure you guys are familiar with what's out there. Also, another thing, another age-associated change having to do with our musculoskeletal system is the fact that we do get shorter with age. There's a certain point after that hump where we start shrinking, and That's not just a generalization or like a stereotype or just a myth. We do actually, our bones and whatever, they do start to condense. Okay, now let's look at some age-associated changes in our cardiovascular system, the heart system, right? So most alterations in cardiac efficiency affect only peak level performance and not daily activity. So it's not really going to affect you too much with just getting up and down or maybe walking here to there, especially if it's more like easy walking and whatnot. Of course, exercise is definitely going to help you keep your cardiac efficiency on point as you age. But really a lot of this cardiac efficiency and whatnot really only affects you if, let's say, you are not used to doing much like hard exercise or running and whatnot, and then you just did it one day and you haven't ran in years. Okay, you're actually a couch potato and you haven't moved in years, and then suddenly you get out there and you start running as hard as you can. It will affect your cardiac efficiency a little bit, depending on how healthy you are. So anyway, our heart rate actually decreases starting at birth. Like it'd be like that, you know. So since birth, since we came into this earth, we have been starting our aging process slowly. We have been aging. Okay, so our heart rate has been decreasing since birth, unfortunately. Now let's look at age-associated changes in our immune systems. So immune function will decline with age, and that's kind of what we're dealing with a lot right now. A lot of our older adults are at much higher risk of, really everyone is at risk of contracting this coronavirus, right? But those who are higher risk of it really taking a huge toll on you and, of you dying from this illness and everything, more older adults are at risk for that happening. Okay, also those who are immunocompromised. This has to do with our immune systems. So of course, as we get older, as we age, our immune function declines, and of course your immune function is going to decline if you have other morbidities, especially comorbidities. If you have, the more diseases you have, the less immune function you're going to have, the more susceptible you are going to be when these things come out, when there are a lot of flus and the coronavirus and other things happening, other diseases running around. You're definitely more susceptible to all that. And so going back to age related, that is why the older adults in this country or all over the world really are way more susceptible to this virus going around than, let's say, me or most likely all of you as well. Okay. So anyway, what happens is the antibodies don't respond as vigorously to foreign antigens anymore. Okay, that's just, it'd be like that. That's just what's going on. So cancers and then autoimmune diseases are more likely to occur, and that's why they're more likely to occur in those who are older adults. Okay, a lot of, because cancer, typically, our bodies can fight cancer. Okay, our immune systems are so incredible. They can, do so much. And odds are, they do say that most likely we have all had cancer at some point. Okay. But the thing is that our immune systems usually figure it out and kill that cell that's not supposed to be there and get rid of it before it even causes any kind of problem in us. So we usually never know. Most likely we'll never know if we've ever had cancer or not, unless it actually takes hold and starts to manifest into something huge. And that's usually because our bodies had, a compromised immune system. So we weren't able to get rid of it like we should have been. Anyway, moving forward. So the respiratory system, the breathing system with our lungs and all that. So this transfers oxygen from the air into our bloodstream, right? And then it moves the oxygen to all your cells, and it's going to pick up the waste from your cellular respiration. Remember we learned cellular respiration in biology, where the cells like take the nutrition, they take the energy, the ATP or the glucose, and they also take the oxygen that's delivered through the blood. Okay, they soak up all that, and then they spit out or they get rid of the carbon dioxide. That's the waste. Okay, so each cell gets rid of their carbon dioxide. The bloodstream, the blood in your body, it delivers all the nutrition and all of the oxygen to your cells, and it picks up the carbon dioxide, circulates through your body, brings it back to the heart, and the heart pumps it back to your lungs again. Okay, then the lungs, when you exhale all that, those toxins and the carbon dioxide. And then you inhale oxygen and everything else going on in the air, and that goes through your body, and the whole thing happens over again, right? So as we age, smoking is bad, okay, because you're inhaling things that are not good. Okay, you're inhaling the nicotine, you're inhaling all the other toxins that go along with cigarette smoking. But even if it kind of doesn't really matter what you're smoking in a way, because smoke itself is carcinogenic. There are carcinogens in the smoke. So when you inhale that, that's you're putting that through your lungs, and your heart's pumping that through your whole body, those toxins, those carcinogens all over the place. And I mean, if you have too much going into your body and your immune system is weakened, you might not be able to get rid of those carcinogens. Okay, so really any kind of smoke is not really good. Even smoke in our meats, actually, because we're ingesting that, and those carcinogens are there, and they're all moving through our body, and so we should eat smoked meat a little bit less. And of course, smoking cigarettes is bad, but smoking other things, we should probably be limiting that as well. Anyway, moving forward, the digestive system, the pooping system. So the digestive system, it breaks down food into usable nutrients, okay? And then your intestines are going to absorb them, and they get picked up by the bloodstream, right? And then your blood brings all that nutrition into your cells, okay? The blood also temporarily restores the waste as well, and then it's gonna usually bring it back to your intestines and whatnot, and then you're just gonna kind of like hopefully poop it all out, or you're going to pee it all out. Anyway, so metabolism gets slower and more difficult as we age, okay? And because it gets more difficult, sometimes in the inner lining of our intestines, we might have a lot of toxins and things that just sort of sit there, and they're not being flushed out. They're not being discarded, and they may start to cause things to happen, cause any kind of cell alteration in your intestines, and then that's how cancer can happen in your digestive tract. Okay. So here are some age-associated changes in the digestive system. One age-associated change is tooth loss. Okay, more elders are retaining more of their teeth due to advanced oral care products, but back in the day, tooth loss was way more common. So anyway, moving on. Then we have the urinary system. Okay, this is also another system that discards waste. Okay, so it rids the body of any kind of waste and toxic substances through your urine. Okay, it's like a filtering system, right? So it's going to regulate the amount of composition of body fluids. Your kidneys are usually like the filters, right? And then your bladder holds everything, and then you have your urethra and your ureter, and that's what's gonna get everything out, right? So the kidneys are what actually filters through, or what removes the waste from the body and regulates the concentration of urine. The kidneys are what filters through everything, so that's going to bring the waste as the toxins and like the waste and everything is flowing through your blood. They're connected to your kidneys, so they're going to go straight to your kidneys. Your kidneys are going to filter through all of that. Okay, so they're going to hold, they're going to filter all of that and then grab all the bad stuff, okay, that you need to pee out. And then they're going to pass all that over to the bladder, and then the bladder is going to be like, ah, we're full. And then you're going to pee it all out. Okay, so age-associated changes in the urinary system. The kidneys are less efficient at filtering urine, and urine becomes less concentrated. So this is what happens when you get older. The kidneys become way less efficient. As time goes by, you've been maybe not eating very well, you have a lot of toxins, they kind of become worn out and things like that. I think it's just normal wear and tear, because typically, as far as I know, what's really common and what happens among many older adults is that their kidney function, of course, is going to be less efficient, and at a certain point, it's almost like everyone gets this, where you have stage 3 kidney disease. Like you just automatically have it. They're gonna check your kidneys and go, it's not filtering as efficiently. It's not like a 1 or 2. You're down to 3. That doesn't necessarily mean you should freak out when that does happen, though, because as long as you're kind of taking care of yourself and you're not doing anything to damage it even further, it could just be a wake-up call, and it could just mean like, look, drink more water and eat healthier food. That's really it. So that's actually very common. Anyway, so older adults are actually more vulnerable to dehydration, and they usually have a lot less filtration. Their kidneys aren't working as efficiently, which means, okay, it may take a longer time for some drugs to activate within them. Could also mean that they're not able to filter through a lot of the toxins in their body, and so they could get like a lot of buildup, throughout their body. They're not able to flush things out as efficiently as they used to be. So anyway, also a lot of older adults find it really difficult, actually. A lot of older adults need to pee a lot more, especially at night. And then the bladder, since the bladder wall gets weaker, it reduces its capacity. So even throughout the day, like, you just have to pee a lot more. Okay. All right. So the nervous system, the nervous system. We have the central nervous system, and then you have your peripheral. All right, so your central nervous system is going to include the brain, the old noggin, and your spinal cord. And this sends messages to the peripheral nervous system, which is, which connects all the other parts of your body, right? So it sends messages to all the other parts of your body, telling your cells and your organs and everything what they're supposed to be doing, okay? So cognitive function decreases with age. For example, you lose memory, you lose the speed of processing new information and things like that, can typically over time. Then we have the sensory system. So sensory neurons gather information about the internal and external environment and share that information with the nervous system. Okay, so our sensory neurons are found all along here. They're found inside our noses. They're on the tongue. You know, they're like in our eyes. We can like detect color and light and things like that. All that stuff, right? Also hearing. Okay. So they gather all this information around the internal and the external environment, and then they send it all to the nervous system so it can process, and we can figure out exactly how we're going to react to this stimuli, okay, that we're sensing. So that's that. Some age-associated changes in the genital system. So after menopause, women are no longer able to reproduce children. Okay, we all know that, the whole biological clock thing and everything like that. Then men also have a lower sperm count, and this is universal. Okay, all men. All right, so all men will have a lower sperm count as you start to age. It doesn't mean you can't have kids, but because it really takes one, but you know, you're just less likely to, it just kind of reduces your chances a little bit. Also, men's prostates start to enlarge and cause a lot of difficulty in their urinating as well. So anyway, that was it. That's all of lesson 3. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned a lot, but if anyone has any questions, please put some in the comment section. Also, you can email me, and I believe on the website there are ways for you to contact me as well. Stay tuned for the next lesson. See you again in lesson 4.